I published my first book at 18. And when most people hear that, they can't help but wonder how I was able to balance both school and writing a book. But what they don't realize is that I did it through homeschooling. But you're probably wondering, how is this even possible? Especially for a teenager. Well, today I'm going to share with you how homeschooling helped me publish my first novel. Let's get straight into it. During the summer of 2020, this was around COVID and the lockdown period, me and my sister were developing these characters just for fun while we were doing digital learning days and Zoom classes. And each character had their own lore and story behind them. My sister would design them. She would also help me come up with the stories around them as well. And it was just really enjoyable. We even sort of made it like a card game at one point, kind of similar to like Pokemon, where each character had their own kind of health and their own attack, specific and unique to that character. And we were really thinking about developing this idea into a sort of board game. And by the end of this project, we had around 100 characters. And it felt like we were really building this little world of ourselves. This fantasy world filled with so much backstory and history. Then one day, our mom came up with this idea, and she said to us, what if you use these characters to create a full novel? And when me and my sister heard this, we thought it was a great idea. Because we didn't have the resources to create a video game necessarily, but we did have experience in the writing department. Not only that, this would make it much more easier to get our story out to the world. But in that moment, I also realized something else. That these cards that we created were going to be translated into a real-life product. A book that real people will be willing to buy. This wasn't a hobby anymore, and we had to take this very seriously. And because we were homeschooled, it actually gave us the time to take it seriously. We began writing our first draft. And at first, we thought this would be very easy. But as we kept going, we began to clash on certain ideas, me and my sister. And if you know writer's terminology, you'll know what a plotter and a pantser is. I'm naturally a plotter. I like to outline the entire story from beginning to end before I even start writing, while my sister likes to write by the seat of her pants, if you would. Basically, see where the story takes her. Her talent is more on the design and the scenery of the book, mine more on plot points. So our different skill sets clashed constantly. And it was hard to compromise on anything at first. As it turned out, it's actually hard to co-author with someone, especially if that someone is your sibling. But eventually, we learned to work together. And learning to respect each of our views helped us finish our first draft. We finished it around August of 2022. And if I'm gonna be really honest with you, it wasn't a good draft at all. But it isn't supposed to be good. There's a reason they called the first draft the vomit draft. I didn't like how it looked at all, but it was a necessary part to continue. Afterward, we revised it ourselves. It almost felt like a new story, but with the same elements as our first draft. And this led us to complete our second draft, which was around June of 2023. Around that year, we were also balancing other types of work. So that was the gap between our first and second draft. And by no means was this second draft perfect, but at least it was better than the first one. And now it was time to send it to an editor. Our first editor was a developmental editor. And her job is to provide feedback on our story's plot, characters, and lore. Specifically, we needed help on the characters. We were able to nail down their personality and basically how they would act in the story, but what we didn't know was how to make a character relatable. So that was our biggest query with our developmental editor. How do you make a character that your audience can connect to? And when we got her notes back, we were absolutely blown away. And this actually helped us outline a brand new story from it, which would be our final draft. For our final draft, what we did was basically break the story down into bits and pieces. Like we pretended that our old story didn't exist and that we just had the characters and the elements from our cards and previous drafts. And this time, we made sure to take our characters very seriously in terms of crafting each one to make them relatable to the audience. You can create a story with good plot and pretty good world building, but if the characters suck, your story will suck too. So our goal for each character was to make them memorable, make the audience remember them. So after outlining it out, we finished around September of 2024. After we completed our final draft, we moved on to the next phase. Me, my mom, and my sister took the following month to proofread our manuscript. Since our mom didn't write the book with us, she was actually a perfect candidate to provide feedback on the book. She helped us clarify certain plot points that didn't really work and helped us really sharpen and clarify our voice and the things we were trying to say within each line. Around this period, we also went to 99 Designs to get our cover. And our youngest sister, I'm sure you've seen her in a few of our videos, she helped us create a sketch to give our cover designer so he has a reference point. Because we wanted to convey a mysterious kind of vibe, dark but inviting kind of feel when someone sees our cover. And we made sure that vision was clear to our cover designer, and he did a great job. Then we had to go to Upwork to hire a formatter. A formatter's job is to work on the interior design of the book, which is like the headers, the font, the chapter title designs, the images, and the spacing between every single page. It basically makes every single page look polished and publisher ready. Afterward, we received our manuscript in PDF form with all the designs, the chapter title designs, the headers, the footers, the page numbers, basically the whole design of the book. We received it in PDF form. That way we could upload it to Amazon. Now it was time to publish. We used Amazon KDP to self-publish our first novel. All we had to do was upload the manuscript and our book cover that we received from 99 Designs. Publishing to Amazon KDP was probably the easiest part of this whole process because all we had to do was hit publish, send in our cover, and then wait for the book to update, and we'd receive it in the mail. Throughout this publishing process, there were some slight delays because there were some design errors in the book. But after we fixed those, the book was finally done. And throughout this entire process, yes, it was hard. We had to put ourselves out of our comfort zone between hiring people for the first time to help us out, learning how to write characters and to develop a story. Like we had to really hone in our writing skills and develop them over time through every single draft that we did. And basically, writing this book was like our own writing curriculum. And in public school, I don't see how I would have the time to dedicate myself to this type of project, especially if that project is something that I'm passionate about. Not to say you can't do this on top of public school, or you can't do this while you're in college or write a book. Of course, people do that all the time. It's just that homeschooling for me made it much easier because I had the time to develop the skills, the knowledge, and the discipline to finishing a book with my sister and actually completing a product from start to finish. And we could not do that without homeschooling. This is why I would say homeschooling taught me writing better than public school ever could, because it allowed me the time to dedicate myself to it. So right here, I have my novel, and it's called Mystivale, The Council of Secrets. This book ties in mystery elements, fantasy elements, and if you're a fan of secret societies and magic lore and world building, then I feel like this book is definitely the right fit for you. And I feel like this book as a whole represents our homeschooling journey from start to finish. Between the setbacks, the delays, the uncertainties, we pushed through all of it. And I feel like as much as we worked on this book has worked on us. So again, this is young adult fantasy, but anyone of all ages can read this book. So if you're a fan of fantasy, large worlds, magical lore, and even secret societies, then this book will definitely take you on a journey. And I'll put the Amazon link in the description. Make sure to pick up your copy today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. We recently just hit 300 subscribers, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. I feel like this channel is growing every single day, and it feels great to be able to share our homeschooling stories with you guys. And I hope you got something out of listening to my book process. Maybe you're on the lines of writing a book right now, or you're wondering how homeschooling could help you start your careers early without having to wait until college. So if this video helped you, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.